What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Montreal Expos expansion series within Out of the Park Baseball 25. So the first season has come to a close. Off-season starts tomorrow. So what we are going to do here is we are going to do a quick review of how the season went. We're going to go over statistical leaders, the playoffs, all that good stuff, and then we will go into the playoffs, and we'll actually cut back in this episode to cover the start of free agency. So without further ado, let's first just check out the playoffs. So as you can see right away, the Braves repeated as World Series champions. Jarred Kelenic gets World Series MVP after a pretty good year. He's had a good two-year stretch with Atlanta. Good for that. Good for Kelenic. I mean, a former bust. Good to see him playing pretty well here. In the wild card series, we've got the LA Angels taking down the Tigers. We've got the Astros taking down the Orioles, Cardinals taking down the Cubbies, and then the Mets taking down the Pirates. You can see the divisional series here. Twins, Yankees, Braves, and Mets prevail. We'll go over just quick just so you guys can pause. You guys can look at any stats you want to see, anything like that. Giancarlo Stanton, divisional series MVP. Good for him. Bo Bichette of the Braves, and Pete Alonso. Here in the championship series, the ALCS, we've got the Yankees over the Twins. Jason Dominguez coming up big. And Jarred Kelenic again for the Braves. And then, as we already went over, Braves top the Yankees. So standings-wise, we finished 71 and 91. It's very short of the 500 goal I had for this team. I was really hoping that we could be semi-competitive. 70 wins, I guess, isn't terrible. I think things are looking up for us. I'm just not thrilled at. Unfortunately, still being in that, bottom 10 teams in the league or so. We will come over here, we'll take a look at our own team, then I'll pull up the league leaders. So on the pitching side of things, you can see Pepiot, 8 and 14, decent ERA. Gibson Long struggled. Valencia was actually really solid for us. Valencia was probably the one bright spot of the rotation. Mar Rocker picked it up later in the season, but struggled early. Leiter and Verlander, neither did great. Verlander is actually, as a roster expansion call-up, we gave him 4 games. We just wanted to get him some stats before he retires. He did outstanding. You can see Bailey Ober was terrible here. I'm just going to take a look. AJ Puck, 28 saves. I'm proud of him. Jose Soriano pitched very well in that setup role. Ferguson struggled, never really found the form that he had for us after we traded for him last year. You can see Palencia and Pepiot very clearly our top 2 pitchers. Over on the batting side, we were actually a pretty good hitting team. We didn't have any real superstars, but we did play pretty well at the plate. Betancourt had a good year, 2 WAR, decent hitting stats. Overall, for a defensive catcher, he did great. Harry Ford had a pretty good year in relief. I'm thinking he's going to be our full-time catcher next year. He's looking like he might be ready for it. Blaze Jordan struggled. McMahon did pretty well considering I wasn't expecting anything out of him. Trevor Story struggled. Trevor Story is completely washed, unfortunately, but he's still top 22 home runs, so can't be too disappointed. Ellie De La Cruz may end up being a pickup that helps push us over the top. We brought him in after struggling in the first half in Cincinnati. He erupted for us. Ended with 37 homers, still under 300 in that OBP department, which I don't love, but ended with almost 4 WAR. He was part of the 30-30 club, so I mean, he could be our superstar. Ellie could be a star in Montreal, and I would love to have a player of that caliber, and I think we might have 2, and if Soto decides to pick it up, we'll have 3. Blaze Alexander, very good in his rookie year. Charlie Condon, September call-up, played in 23 games, hit 8 home runs, 400 OBP, 350 average, 1 WAR. Charlie Condon is going to be a superstar for us next year, I hope. Here, I'll just take a quick look at him. He's going to be a superstar. Everything except for Gap looks to have some pretty high level potential. Avoid K is good enough. I'm not going to be worried if he's striking out a fair bit because he's going to be doing everything else fantastic. And defensively, he can hold his own in the corner outfield. We can also move into first base if need be. Juan Soto also picked it up later in the year, ended with 36 home runs and 26 stolen bases, actually, which is kind of incredible for Juan Soto. Don't think he should have any business stealing 20 plus bases. But unfortunately, didn't live up to the $36.5 million we gave him, so a little disappointing there. Hopefully next year will be a pickup. I mean, a 373 OBP and a 125 OPS plus, and I'm disappointed. So hopefully we can address that. And we can get going a little better. It's a good thing to be disappointed about. Brenton Doyle played great. Was a rotation guy until the last month and a half of the season or so. Everything I want out of a center fielder, Brenton Doyle provided us. He, at least as of this moment, he's our starting center fielder going into next year. And we're going to wrap up with Adolis Garcia. Had a down year, but still provided some pop, still provided some plus defense. Hopefully he rebounds next year. If he doesn't, it's his last year of arbitration. We can always just let him walk. So now we're going to take a look. Let's take a look at player development, see just how the team stacks up. We do have 3 top 10 prospects. Condon, Michael Braswell, and Ethan Holiday. Blaze Jordan's in the top 50. Blaze Jordan hasn't been playing well for us, though, so honestly, we may reconsider his position within the team. We may see if we can't flip him for an established star or something like that. William Schmidt in the top 100. He does not really appear to be developing too well, but he played pretty well last season down in the rookie leagues. Tyler Bremmer's in the top 200. Decent year, decent potential. I think he could develop for a second round pick, could be an MLB pitcher. And then we got DeMario Romo in IAFA, who we'll see what he does. Otherwise, we got a couple of these guys here: Talon Bell, Michael Molinex, who we traded for, Zion Theophilus, Jeremiah Jackson, who we got in the expansion draft, Jake Madden, and a couple international guys. Before I forget right off the bat, we are going to adjust that, bring the development budget back down to exactly times 2. We're going to keep the $10 million draft budget. I don't put money in my IAFA budget. You can still spend up to the cap. It's just instead of having that money budgeted and not affect your free agent pool money, I just like to put it all in free agent pool if I want to use it for IAFA. I know if I have $10 million for free agents, I can pull right from there. I know that if I don't want to use it, that money is now not being tied up in IAFA. That money is available for me to use in free agency, in trades, things like that. Just my personal opinion there. Everyone's probably going to tell you something different on how to budget like that, but that's how I do it. Let's take a quick look at stats here. Jordan Walker, leading the league in average. Good for Jordan Walker. I know he got hurt, had a pretty major injury at one point this year. Shohei with 46. Schwarber, Acuna, Jackson Holiday, Wyatt Langford. We got Langford with 128. Adael Amador is eating up at Coors Field. Good for him. Wyatt Langford. Jackson Holiday is about to run the gambit, I think. Michael Harris, Acuna for stolen bases. Soto led the league in walks by a fair bit. Edouard Julien looks like he could be another outstanding. I've never seen him develop like that. I mean, never going to be an MVP, never going to be a Silver Slugger, but that's a good ball player. Come over to pitching. Blake Snell. I think Snell was pretty good last year, too. Nestor. Mitch Spence with almost 20 losses. Edwin Diaz with saves. Spencer Strider and Tariq Skubal, I think, are going to be our 2 Cy Youngs. I think they're probably going to run away with it. Garrett Cole. Ben Brown with the complete games. Strider topped 300 Ks. Good for Strider. Home runs allowed. We actually had the 2 pitchers with the most home runs allowed. That does explain a fair bit. Bailey Ober struggled. I really thought Bailey Ober was going to be a better pitcher for us than he ended up being. I don't know what the disconnect was there, but he just could not keep the ball in the park. Come down here. Strider allowed an under 200 batting average against. That is incredible. We're going to come check out one more thing before we cut to player awards and free agency. So if we come over here to History Index, I'm just going to go to Accomplishments. Wanted to show you guys this at the end of last season and just forgot. So we're just going to cover it. 3 homers. You're going to have a lot of 3 home run games. But feel free to pause, take a look at names, take a look at the performances. 6+ hits, only happened one time. Happened season 1 by Tristan Casas, went 6 for 6. 15 Ks, only twice so far, both this year, both in August, within 3 days of each other. That's awesome. Daniel Espino and Justin Steele. We've had quite a few cycles here. You guys can check out who has hit for the cycle, but we've got Adael Amador, Wyatt Langford, Colson Montgomery. Any no-hitters? We've had 5 no-hitters so far. Alex Fado, for us, in that first week of the first month of the first season, by a pitcher who we didn't even know was going to be on the roster, and then he goes out and goes 13 Ks. Severino. Jordan Hicks threw a 9-inning no-hitter with 6 walks. Garrett Crochet. Crochet deserves an asterisk there. He threw a no-hitter. He threw a 5-inning no-hitter with 6 walks. Not sure that counts. And Jacob Mizorowski goes 9 innings, 9 Ks for the no-hitter. We've only had 250 home run seasons so far. You can see him right there. No 150 RBIs. 2 20-win seasons, Fried and Severino last year. No triple crowns. Milestones here, you can check them out if you want. And then let's take a look. Hitting streaks, anything special. 21, 21, 22, 27 for Jackson, 23, 20. So that covers that. We are going to cut back right at the start of free agency. We're going to go over who we are looking to sign. We're going to go over player awards. We're just going to put a little game plan together for what the team's going to look like in the next season. Or at least what we hope the team's going to look like in the next season. So I'll see you guys in just 1 second. Welcome back, everyone. We have now jumped ahead to free agency. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go over some of the off-season happenings. We're going to go over our award winners. I say our as though we're actually going to win any awards. And then we are just going to put together a rough plan for free agency. We'll check back in, once it's about preseason time, and I'll show you guys any and all additions I've made. So to start out, new budget, 226. That's a slight increase from where we were at. I think we were right around 220 last year, so overall, I'm happy to see that. We're just going to go ahead, we'll delete that. Only player to retire for us this year, Justin Verlander. Glad he got to put on an Expos hat to close out his career. Glad that he went 3-0 for us. Not much more to say besides that. Let's take a look. The AL Gold Glovers. Pitcher, Lance McCullers. Catcher, Drew Romo. Drew Romo's a defensive superstar in OOTP. Not shocked to see him picking up some Gold Gloves here. DJ LeMahieu at first base. Tommy Edman at second. Isaac Paredes third. Javi Baez short. Chris Bryant pulls in a Gold Glove in left field. Good for you, Chris Bryant. Is that your first Gold Glove of your career? First Gold Glove of his career at age 33 in the outfield. I love to see that. Oh, it's because we trained him last year and he got a little better defensively. Forgot about that. That makes sense. Chris Bryant is a Gold Glove wizard. He's going to earn his keep for us. He's going to keep getting playing time if he's a Gold Glover. Jose Siri in center. And Adolis Garcia clocks a Gold Glove in right. Good for Adolis Garcia. On the NL side, Zach Wheeler's the pitcher. Nick Fortes at catcher. Wilmer Flores first. Nico Horner second. Nolan Arenado third. Francisco Lindor at short. Tauchman in left. Leody Tavar at center. Judd Fabian in right. You got a couple big names there, but overall, a lot of role player names, a lot of names that aren't really huge in real life right at this moment, but that could be, especially Judd Fabian. Judd Fabian out of Florida could be a real star coming up, and he's in that Baltimore organization in real life, which seems to just be flowing with talent. Devin Williams, who is currently a free agent, lands the reliever of the year in the AL for the Yanks. Edwin Diaz, who is also currently a free agent, lands reliever of the year in the NL for the Mets. He was outstanding. 1.39 ERA. Jesus. 193 for Devin Williams. Still fantastic. So let's look at Silver Sluggers here. Logan O'Hoppe for the Angels, Yordan Alvarez, Jackson Holliday, Royce Lewis, Gunnar Henderson at short, Wyatt Langford in left, Joe Adell in center. Oh, Joe Adell, I'm a big Joe Adell fan. I actually looked into acquiring him for our team this year, but ultimately didn't think he would be enough of an improvement over anything we had. Apparently, I was very wrong. Glad to see him doing well on what appears to be a power hitting Angels team. And then Kyle Tucker in right. In the NL side, you got Francisco Alvarez, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies with 32 home runs. Miguel Vargas on the Dodgers at third. O'Neill Cruz at short. Xander in left. Love to see Xander succeed. I know I've gone off on a tangent about Xander for you guys before. Corbin Carroll center. Acuna in right. And Shohei as the DH. I think I missed the AL DH. Let's pop back over. Tristan Casas is the AL DH Silver Slugger. Marcelo Mayer takes home a unanimous Rookie of the Year award. Good for him. He had an outstanding year with a 275 batting average. Orelvis Martinez takes home the NL Rookie of the Year. Big Orelvis Martinez fan. He did just get suspended in real life, though. Aaron Boone gets Manager of the Year. Brian Snitker gets Manager of the Year in the NL. Tariq Skubal takes home the Cy Young. It was unanimous. Good for Tariq Skubal. 13-6, 201 strikeouts. Solid ERA. It's going to be Spencer Strider. Yep, Spencer Strider. 14-6, 300 Ks. Not unanimous, though. Blake Snell put up a fight. Good for them. 300 Ks in today's era. 300 Ks can get you the Cy Young. I'd say 10 times out of 10, though. You're not going to top that, especially if it's tallied with a good ERA and, almost 15 wins. It's not gonna be beatable. Jackson Holliday over here with a unanimous AL MVP. Langford second, Tucker third. Ronald Acuna takes home a unanimous NL MVP, beating out Shohei and O'Neill Cruz. So let's take a look. I haven't actually looked through the international free agents just yet. Jesus Aguilar, Kazu Kimura, Tokahito Naito, Fume Nakayama. I hate when the game does this. This is an outstanding pitcher. This is a potential all-star starter. And because he comes in and was willing to take a minor league deal, he actually signs on this first day of free agency before the player even gets a chance to make an offer. I hate when the game does that. But he still actually only got 2 pitches, so probably not a starter. Still, I hate it. I mean, that could be a reliever of the year type player. And we didn't even have a chance to make an offer. Serrano, Sal looks like he could be good, but just doesn't have any control. Takuza Wada is an amazing catcher. 6'6", 240, built like that. Oh my goodness. And a great defender. Takuza the Lobster Wada. Out of Japan. He could be an MVP caliber player. We're going to have to really consider going after him. No comp to. That's Juan Soto at catcher. That's what that is. I mean, assuming he hits that potential, that's Juan Soto at catcher. Jorge Soto, pretty good. Andres Flores, Yoshihasa Harada, and then Nishio here in center field. Good defender, good player. We'll consider it. It looks like he's willing to take a minor league deal. The top 10 free agents we're seeing named: Mike Yastrzemski, Seth Lugo, Ryan Presley, Ranger Suarez, Devin Williams, Bo Bichette, Edwin Diaz, Mike Clevenger, Razel Iglesias, and Ryan Helsley. Another small side story time. Big Razel Iglesias fan. Back in the OOTP, 16, 17, 18 era, he was actually a really, really good starter that you could pick up. I think he was on the Reds at that time. He was a really good younger player, and honestly would love to add him to the team, but at $15 million for a reliever, it's probably a little out of my budget. So let's take a look here how we're lining up. If we go with a 5-man rotation, we actually can return all 5 starters, and we have a pretty solid bullpen. I think one thing that I would like to do is bring in a starter. We don't have an ace. We have a bunch of number 3s and 4s. I think we need to get that front line pitcher. I think that's one thing that I need to look for. I think we're good on relievers, especially if one of those starters is going to a reliever role. I'm happy with where we stand with Puck, Ferguson, and Soriano. I like Clevenger at the moment. Luis Gill's been solid. I think we could transition maybe a Sawyer Gibson Long or a Jack Leiter to a reliever role, maybe even Kamar Rocker because he kind of struggled last year. But overall, frontline starter. That is our goal here in this offseason. Coming over to lineups, we're missing a catcher on both sides. We have options at catcher. Of course, we have that international free agent catcher who could really complete the lineup, but we have options in-house in Christian Serta, who's only 22, great leadership, and Harry Ford, who I think should be our starting catcher, and if he's not going to be our starting catcher, he should be a starter at a corner outfield spot. And then Alfonso, who's a great backup. When we initially drafted him in the expansion draft, the hope was that he would transition to a starting role for us. I don't think he's got a starting role in him, but I think he can definitely make it as a very good backup catcher. So we're just going to take a quick look. First base, Blaze Jordan. I'm comfortable giving Blaze Jordan another run to be our MLB first baseman. I think he's got good play in him. I think he could very well be a starter level first baseman who really helps set the team up for success. Second base, we could use an improvement at second base. Between Ryan McMahon and Trevor Story, we've got two good but not great players. I think there's a good chance that we can find an improvement. I also think one thing that we could consider would be moving Ellie to short, moving Blaze to second, just to get Chris Bryant on the field. I want Chris Bryant on the field, especially coming off a Gold Glove season, but I don't want him at third. I want him in the outfield. Ellie De La Cruz, starter, superstar, going to help carry this team. Blaze Alexander, starting shortstop, starting middle infielder. He is safe. Charlie Condon, he's safe. He's their superstar. He's who we're going to try to run an MVP with. 6'6", 210, yeah. He's got this. He's got the juice. You guys see that? Look at those ratings. He has got it. I just had $1 million idea depending on Chris Bryant's ratings. Range is a little low. Honestly, my thought, Chris Bryant in center field. Gold Glove in the corner outfield. Why can't he man center? His range is a little low. We'll take a look at Adolis Garcia. Maybe he can man some center field for us. Brenton Doyle, you are safe right now. You are either going to be our starting center fielder or you will be our number 4 outfielder. I have no concerns about him making the roster. Adolis Garcia can't really play center field. Also got that 60 range. I really want my center fielders to have 70 or above. 65 is like fringe starting player caliber, so not quite great. And then Juan Soto. Juan Soto, once again, we may address dealing Juan Soto. $36 million is a lot of money for a player who did not really do anything special for us last year. We brought in a couple waiver claims. So you can see right off the bat, Jacob Marcy. Jacob Marcy could be the center fielder. He's got defensive ability. He's got some pretty good contact, some pretty good eye, great personality. He's probably going to spend next year in AAA, assuming we can get him down there, and we'll address the future with him after. Ryland Thomas. Ryland Thomas is a similar deal. Great defender, great contact. Slightly worse eye, but better contact. Good defender once again. Another guy that I would love to have on the team that I'd love to find a space for. It's just going to be a matter of how injuries hit us in the preseason and how we can build around him. One other waiver pickup was, where did he go? Christian Serta, catcher. You guys saw him earlier. Great catcher, great personality, great eye. Going to be making a play for an MLB spot. So, free agents should be pretty quick. All batters. Takuzo Wada, we have our eyes on him. He may be a play that we make. None of these other guys really fill a need for us. We don't need a first baseman. Kyle Schwarber does not have the defense we look for, although he's a very fun player. Ryan O'Hearn, Rowdy Tellez. Couple legends of OOTP pass, but no one really that we're looking for. Cody Bellinger. We may look to bring in Cody Bellinger. Wants a lot of money, coming off a torn ACL, and his defense actually isn't as good as it has been in years past. We'll consider him. I'm a big Cody Bellinger fan. I know I keep telling you guys all these players I'm a big fan of. Big Cody Bellinger fan. Like to see him bouncing back in real life. We may look to find a spot for him, but I honestly don't think we have a spot unless we can pull off a Juan Soto trade or a couple other trades. Bo Bichette's a superstar. Wants a fair bit of money though, and we don't have a spot for him. Coming down, just looking at the list here, no one that's jumping out. Joey Gallo, good defender, good power hitter, good on base, terrible average. Jonathan India, former Rookie of the Year, a guy that I actually, once again, I like. You're going to catch a theme. If they were good from 2015 to 2020, and then maybe they've fallen off a little bit since then, I'm a fan of them. Just the way that it works, apparently. Gavin Lux, pretty solid, another legend of the past. Yoan Moncada, I'd love to give him some run. Cedric Mullins post-concussion syndrome, he's pretty washed, although he's a good center fielder. We're going to consider Cedric Mullins as a center field option. I saw Anthony Rizzo down there. Pitching-wise, let's come right up to the top. Let's do this pretty quick. Dylan Cease might be who we target as a frontline starter. He's cheap, too. He's a no-comp. He's a great pitcher. We're going after Dylan Cease. We have a lot of money to spend. Seth Lugo's a little older. Very good pitcher last year. We'll consider Seth Lugo. He's a comp FA. He's out. We're not going to be giving up comp. Frankie Montas. We're going after Frankie Montas as well. Cease. Montas. Jack Flaherty. What are you looking like? Jack Flaherty's looking pretty good. We'll consider Jack Flaherty. Dustin May looks pretty solid. We'll consider Dustin May. We got a couple good options here as a starter. Jose Quintana, you're a reliever at this point. Spencer Howard's really good. And he's cheap. We're going to consider Spencer Howard. We're finding a couple good options here to go after. Ranger Suarez, real life, he's killing it. In here, he's not that great, so probably not going to go after him, especially for $15 million. Nothing else that's jumping out at me. We're kind of getting down into that full range. Kyle Funkhauser, I'm a big fan of. Just for the name, it's a great name. But we've got some options there. Cease, Montas, Kobe Aller, who we had, we're not going to bring him back. Flaherty, Spencer Howard. We're going to take a good look at those guys. We'll check back in the preseason, and we will see who we have acquired and what the team's looking like. Thank you, guys.